Hey guys, this is Peyton with PI Projects, and I wanted to talk about body hammers. I hadn't seen many reviews out there for really any body hammer. I was going to tell you that good body hammers, well, what I found that's good quality is these Martin body hammers. They have all kinds of shapes, sizes, anything you'd really want. The quality is really good. I think this hammer is like a $35 hammer, and it's really good. The quality is comparable to Snap-on. This is an old Snap-on basic utility pick hammer, and well, I polished this one up, but it's a VF612 Snap-on. I think this is from like the 80s. I actually picked this one up off eBay, but I have some newer ones at work. But best bang for your buck, really, if you're DIY, home guy, something like that, restoration project at home. These are good. I know that I've seen a lot of people have like the Harbor Freight body hammers, and they're not terrible, but they have a flat face. So if you're actually trying to get something straight, you'll dig into the panel and leave little marks that you'll have to come back and sand out, or you'll put body filler in. It's harder to actually metal finish the surface if you don't have just that little, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got like a little crown to it. It's not a true flat face. I think the most expensive hammer that I got from Martin would be a door skinning hammer, and it's like $43, made in the USA, and it's really good, nice hickory handle. They also have them in fiberglass. I prefer just a wood hammer just for the way that it feels. And of course, most of these hammers, you probably don't really need this many. Like really, the only two I use a bunch would be this pick hammer. Then I use a cross chisel hammer. Well, drawing a blank on where I put it. This one right here, this would be good to get you started. Just get a pick hammer and get this. And actually, I had that Snap-on before. I bought this as a big 25-piece set from Martin, which comes with everything but, I think, the door skinning hammer. You get a bunch of dollies with it as well. But it actually comes with a pick hammer. I have not really used it. I think this is the one that they have. And it's a really nice hammer. I have not used it. But it has a lot larger face to it compared to the Snap-on one. It's, well, let me see if I can get them. See how much bigger that is? Which I guess is bigger for older, heftier panels, you know. Gives you more headway to strike with. But all that I really use, that I really enjoy, is just this small Snap-on hammer. It's good quality, but this is like, you can probably buy it on eBay for like $40 to $50-ish for a used one. I know new they go for like $86 or something. I think that's what I paid for this. This is a brand new one. I haven't used this, the compact body hammer, and I think it was $86. It's a VF612. And then I bought this one a couple weeks ago. It's a compact. I have not used it yet either. Compact pick hammer, and it's a, see if we can get that, a VF629, which if you work on the Stihl F-150s, I think they're like 05 to 2014, I believe it is. You know, right under the tail light, between the tail light and the bumper, that's what that would be good for. You know how they always have that dent right there, right above the body line to the tail light? That's what I actually bought this for. And I've not worked on it since I bought it. But it was something that I actually found online at the time, and I needed it for that specific job. And well, I didn't have it. The job was done by the time I got done with it. I just used a stud gun and, you know, pulled it out and tapped down the crown with this body hammer. But, you know, and like I said, a lot of these hammers you don't need. Like this, I like to use it on quarter jobs, a fender bumping hammer. It's an old school type hammer, the 155G, and you can get in there and really knock the will wheel out if like the quarter's crushed in around the dog leg or upper wheelhouse or something like that. It's really handy. And of course, just this, I like to use this or the flat chisel hammer, the one that I just had earlier. This is a curved chisel hammer, 153 GB. And it's really good for whenever you're welding. You can take, you do your plug welds on a floor pan, rear body panel, something like that. You can take and tap it down after you've welded it. I usually take and just hold the weld pretty much like that to hold the panel flat. You know, you got your screws in it and everything, but it still might be a little high around the weld, or you can tap down around it and then, you know, do your weld. And if the one side's still high after you've tacked one side, you can take and kind of, you know, tap that down to make everything weld a little bit better. The most that I use that for is this, and I use this for welding seams just because I usually take the quarter and I'll have the top of the quarter and the bottom of the quarter. You know, you have your little gap to weld. But I always take and put a plate behind it, or what we call a sleeve. I'm not sure what the technical name is for it. But take those two pieces of metal and hold them, and you can tack on the top of that, you know, pick. You don't want to weld your hammer, but you can just hold the two flat, and then you come back with your blowgun, you know. That way you can keep your panel from warping up. They got shrinking hammers, which I'm going to be honest with you. I use this a lot for like little body lines down in fenders. Whenever you're fixing a fender, you can get right up in there in that line, kind of crisp it up. Shrinking hammers, I've not really ever got really good results with it. But, you know, to each their own. I'm not a big fan, but because all it really does is it scars up the metal, tears it up, and especially if you're trying to metal finish something, it's just going to leave this print in there, and it's not going to draw it up as much as you need it. I would recommend heating it up and shrinking it that way with a cool rag. If it's older steel, it's thicker. You know, you can throw the heat to it and get away with it. I know the newer steel doesn't really do great with that, but you can take, and we have a pro spot at work we use to you know, carbon shrink with, which that does really good for the lighter duty steel. And of course Martin has really good quality you know, dollies and spoons as well, which like this, I use this mainly not as a slapper, but I use it to adjust the gaps. I've actually got two, and where you can adjust the actual, how much the fender sticks out to the door. You can take and, you know, line your panels up. And I know a lot of people that I know actually use a heel dolly shaped like a heel. They use that for like everything. And that's also Martin. But I've never been a big, huge fan of a heel dolly. I've always used a toe dolly, which is more or less this, which I don't use the hefty one a lot. I'll use it if I'm really getting after something, like I'm straightening like the lip of a frame rail or something, when I'm using a bigger hammer, just so I can get that thicker gauge still flat. But what I use a lot of times is in a fender is this. It's a lightweight toe dolly, and it is, well, let me see if I can put this up here. It's like half the thickness. I'm not sure. I don't have a tripod or anything, but it's half the thickness of it, and it's not nearly as heavy when you're trying to fight something in like a tight space. Like say you're going into like the pressure vent cut out in a quarter or something, take and knock something flat, kind of iron it out. That'll get you better in there in between the inner structure and the quarter than this will. And plus this is heavy if you're just trying to hold it, you know, force it up in there and hold it. Where this is going to be a lot more manageable. It's a lot less. I think that weighs close to 3 pounds, maybe. Don't hold me to that. And I think this is like 1 1/4 to 1.5 pounds, which, I mean, really, whenever you're just holding something up there with your fingers, it makes a world of difference. And then you don't really use a file in modern auto body. This is more for restoration work, kind of. And it's really handy if you're doing aluminum panels on like the new BMWs, the aluminum F-150s, Audis, anything like that. This will be handy for those little high spots. Aluminum is more of a bear to work than steel is, but the heavier duty your gauge steel, like the older stuff, after you take your pick hammer like this and you've knocked that little high spot up in the steel, you can come back and instead of trying to tap it down just perfect, you can keep tapping on it. You can just take and file that little bit of metal off and you've got plenty there. This is real handy. I like to take this to adjust doors. It's also a Martin. But tape and adjust strikers with it on doors. Just take you a hammer, hit the end of it, and get you away from it. And that way, if you actually miss the striker, since you're hitting the shaft, you won't actually hit the door jamb of your car. Because a lot of times after you're doing it, you're readjusting your door or whatever, it's after you've had it painted, you've got your quarter on, and you've took the striker off, and the plate that holds the striker, how they'll move. They'll fall, and you tighten them up and you shut the door, and sometimes it's just low or high and you just crack the bolts because you don't want to just keep moving it around. Then anvil dolly, this is handy. All these shapes are real handy with all of them, but the main purpose was just the Martin tools. I just wanted to show the quality. These are just how they came. I haven't polished on them, I haven't ground on them, I haven't tried to shape them. I've just used them as they are out of the box. And I know I started out using some dollies that were from Harbor Freight, and they're cast, and the top has this nice shape, but the back has the indentation in the center of it. Well, on this one, I've got all these surfaces I can use. On that one, I can only use every surface but the back one, because you got that little divot from where they cast it like that. And I think it's good to support a USA, manufacturer. Especially, I know the way things are now, just support local business, small business. And Martin is a family-owned business from what I understand, from what I can find on the internet. It's good stuff. Like this is another kind of spoon. I like to take it and get in between doors, and you can take and bend like the bottom of the fender out so it won't hit the curve. You mostly do that before you go to paint. That's like test fit kind of thing. Where these are more like, I'll take and wrap these with tape, and whenever I'm on like the final build out of the car, just put them together with this. This is actually, well, this is from DevFix, but it's really great for you take and put it on like your wheel arch. And I got the pencil in backwards, wow. But anyway, you can take and trace your arch for whenever you're working your mold to get a nice crisp body line. I picked up this book, The Key to Metalworking, and The Key to Metal Bumping, or whatever. I've heard that it's a really good book. I have not really had an opportunity to read it, but it tells you how to use these tools and how to shrink metal, and just it could be really helpful. A lot of this, I've actually been doing body work for like 6 years now, since I got out of school, and I learned a lot of stuff on the job training rather than actually hands-on at school. It's a lot different when you do something for a job. Whenever you go to tech school, you have 6 months. You can put a quarter in 6 months. Where at work, you've got, I don't know, what does a quarter pay, 14, 16 hours on some of them. So you really do a lot of on-the-job training, where I didn't get this book till after I'd already been in the field. So I haven't actually took the opportunity to read it. I have glazed through some things when I had some trouble, and it pointed me in the right way. So I would say definitely, if you're just starting out, that would be a great book to read, The Key to Metal Bumping. But that's basically what I have. I don't know if I gave you the part number on this door skin and hammer. It's 170G. But that's basically it. And this is just what I have my setup for hammers and dollies. And of course, I've kind of went overboard. It's really better to have more spoons and dollies than it is hammers. This has all the shapes. That's just basically, I mean, it's good to have different hammers for different things. But if you're just a home hobbyist, you won't need the, you know, the specialty hammers like this or that, most likely. You can get away with just, really, if I was going to build a set, I would just go with this right here, the 153G, the 169G Martin, and 155G if you're going to get into quarter repair, stuff like that, big repair, mainly for wheel houses and stuff. And then a door skinning hammer, because it's part number on it as well as 170G. It's versatile what you can do with this, because you have that long reach. I don't use this just for skinning doors. I use it for sometimes I use it to get into frame rails, because you have that curved head down here, and you can just take and get right in that rail to hammer it down, especially if it's not folded up bad. You know, if it's nothing major. I know rails, a lot of times they fold up and they'll buckle, and you'll have to actually, you know, pull on them and get a big 2 or 3 pound, like a mini sledge after them. Something like this right here, to take and knock the little creases out. But you shouldn't really need any of that. If it's a home hobbyist restoration, if it's not being killed in a wreck or something, or you're straightening up someone else's body work, you know, mainly from the 70s or something. If it's a pretty true straight car and you're just working out little dents on a little home restoration, basically anything that I've got here are those 4 that I showed you. You can get away with it, you know. I hope this was helpful. I know I hadn't seen a lot of videos out there about, you know, body hammers, or quality body hammers, if you're wanting to do this, if you're going to restore more than 1 or 2 cars, or if you're, you know, in the auto body industry. There's not a lot out there. I know the Hot Rod Hippie has done some with the snap-on hammers. He believes in snap-on and Martin. I watched some of his videos, and so I that's actually who turned me on to Martin, because I was going to buy a bunch of stuff for here. Actually, I'm not at work, but this is my home shop, and I was going to buy a bunch of just snap-on stuff, vintage tools at flea markets and online and stuff. That way I didn't have to pay that huge price like I did, you know, off the tool truck or what have you. But really, cost-wise, this is half the cost, and it's the same quality. Martin might even make them for snap-on. This is the finish they came with. You wouldn't have to polish this up. All the, you know, it's very well finished hammer, and I think this one right here really logistically is $35, $35.99, something like that. And I know the best deal that I found to actually get these was not on Amazon, but was through Summit Racing. So if there's anything you're interested in, if you got any comments on any of the other hammers, I think I've got like 20-ish hammers here, I would say. I'm not sure. But I can point you in the right direction, hopefully, or maybe what you might need, or I can give you a part number if you see anything in here that you might would want to order through one of those places. I know I didn't give you the part numbers on all of these, but if you have any questions, just leave it in the comments down below, and hopefully this was informative, maybe a good review. But if you liked it, just leave me a like, and I appreciate you.